Hello and welcome to Data Demystified, the podcast where we look beyond the buzzwords to find value in MarTech, AI, and data for marketing. My name is Kevin van Kalkeren, I'm CPO at Onmark, and in this episode we'll talk about something most companies don't realize until it's already hurting them: dashboard fragmentation. You've got Google Analytics, a CRM system, an email platform, social ad reporting, paid media platforms, maybe even a BI tool, but here's the question: are all those dashboards helping you? Or are they keeping you in the dark? Let's talk about why your tech stack might be blinding you from the bigger picture. Here's what I see a lot. Every team has their own dashboard. Sales looks at their CRM data, marketing tracks campaign metrics, customer success checks on their churn numbers or their closing tools. Management watches KPIs in some BI dashboard. And everyone assumes we're data-driven, we're data-informed. But let's be honest, most dashboards are designed for comfort, not clarity. They're a compilation of things we've decided are important, displayed in real time or refreshed weekly, but what do they really tell us? Even if you have a single source of truth, which we talked about in a previous episode, you still have the risk that we all look at our very different aspect, a different facet of the truth. At best, dashboards are a thermometer. They show us what's going on, if everything is in check. But too often, they become a crutch. We use them to confirm what we already believe. We stare at traffic spikes, cost per click, conversion funnels, but we rarely ask why they move the way they do, the why behind the what. And the thermometer itself might be useful, but then still we have to know why is it going up. Worse, we start believing that what's in the dashboard is the business and the entire business, that the metrics represent the truth and the entire truth. But here's the kicker. Dashboards will only show you what you've decided to measure, what you've decided to build. And what you've decided to measure is often based on your structure, your silos, your tooling, not in your customer's reality. We typically have a performance dashboard for segments of our business, for our verticals, for our teams, for our departments. We don't really have a customer dashboard, typically. So we don't really tell the story about what the customer is doing and how they provide value to us. And we typically make dashboards that are fragmented to tell the story about our own team. So while your sales dashboard might say the leads are down, your customer experience might be celebrating a boost in satisfaction because all the happy customers are staying and there's no new leads coming in that ask a lot of difficult questions. Your marketing team is looking at the CTR, it's going up, it's calling it a win because yes, a lot of people are maybe going away, but the people that click, they might actually just convert to a lead, just different reach. So different dashboards, different truths, they all tell a different story. There's no shared understanding how all those different metrics, all different insights interconnect, how they tell the story about the customer and what's the value we're bringing. Even if you combine all different dashboards into a single one, people will often look at different metrics, right? We don't consume the entire dashboard at once. If it's very complicated, we still defer to looking at a segment of it, looking at our own different filters, our own periods, our own dimensions. That's what matters to us. And it's psychologically, it makes sense because we cannot filter out all the information that's too much. We have to focus on what's important to us and how we are being performance managed. So it's impossible to fully analyze every customer journey with every team. We cannot just go and comb through every interaction every customer has with our business. It's impossible, particularly by hand. To have all teams talk about every single lead, what went well, what went wrong. But what we can do is focus on events that actually move the needle. The trick is, how do we find those? Because if we don't, we're not building insights. You're building data silos with prettier charts. You'll end up with 5 dashboards, 3 interpretations, and 0 shared understanding. And the more tools you use, the worse it gets, even if you collaborate it all in a single source of truth. Because tools weren't designed to agree, they were designed to measure what they see. And even worse, if it's their own tools, reporting based on their own media, reporting based on your analytics, reporting based on your ad spend, those tools are designed to keep you in that silo, in that platform, to have some kind of lock-in. So they're never meant to tell you the entire story, just give you the idea, the comfort, the illusion of the entire story. So you'll stick with that particular vendor. So we'll talk about how we can break through this. But first, we'll break down a buzzword. In every episode, we'll take a look at a buzzword or a common belief, and we break it down. In this episode, I'll break down a term that sounds helpful, but usually masks a deeper problem. we have a question.
We have a central BI dashboard where we consolidate our reports. Isn't it already a single source of truth?
I think what you're describing is a good first step. So a single source of truth does not have to be the one tool, the one place, but it does mean there's a lot of shared definitions, and we've tackled all that. So maybe you've got one, maybe you don't. Pulling data into one place, that's step one, but it doesn't solve the real issue. You might have conflicting definitions. So what you think is a lead might be something different than what sales treats as a lead. Same goes for CTRs, same goes for the effective open rates, what churn means, what bounce means. Data might have different time frames. Source A might be looking a year ahead or back. Source B might be looking just 3 months back. Teams might have different filters, different views, different KPIs they're working on. So even if we have a very big set of interconnected dashboards, there's still a chance that something's not centralized just by putting it all in one place. So centralizing the display of data without aligning the logic behind it is still the recipe for disaster, because we think we are very much data driven and aligned, and in practice we're tweaking buttons no one knows exists. A single source of truth isn't about the one dashboard. It's about shared definitions, shared context, and trust in what you're looking at. So we've talked about the risk of this dashboard fragmentation. How do we go from dashboard chaos to actual clarity? What we have to do is start by asking, where do we find definitions that conflict? So, like I said before, what is a lead? What is a conversion? And this is something that can be resolved with this single source of truth. We have to come up with a glossary of some kind to at least combat those different definitions. Also, and I don't think we've talked about that before, we have to see which numbers are being duplicated or misaligned. So are we reporting on numbers that seem the same but aren't really? Or maybe we're reporting on numbers in various places which run the risk if one source changes or one report changes its definitions or its retention of the number, then we still might think we're looking at the same number, but we aren't. So try to reduce duplication there. Also, we have to ask, are teams solving for their KPIs or for the business as a whole? Are we optimizing for our own square meter, or are we optimizing for value for the customer and the entire business? And this is where HiGem helps you like no other. Rather than just build yet another dashboard, HiGem doesn't show you what just changed. It helps you explore why it changed, what's going on. It surfaces meaningful interactions, contextualizes them across the journey, and highlights the touch points that actually impacted outcomes. So it's a difference between saying this week's revenue is down and understanding that visitors who skipped product page B were 40% less likely to convert, which led to the sales, the revenue being down. It's a difference between knowing that a page had a performance issue, which led to less leads or less revenue. In other words, it turns measurement into motion. We can start out from a metric, a KPI, saying the revenue is down, but also have a way to turn that into what's going on with the customer, into a narrative, into something that's tangible and something we can work with, we can start optimizing. And because HiGem works across touch points, you have a very big set of tools to work with. We can see how a certain email sent connects to how people might come on the website through paid media or not, or vice versa, how paid media might lead to newsletter signups, getting you to a newsletter sign up, which of course brings more engagement and more returning visitors. So you're not relying on departmental level dashboards with their own disconnected truths and their own KPIs and their own definitions. You're seeing the full journey, but just what matters. It's stitched together to find the moment of truth, the insights that drive results, where you have room for improvement or room for optimization. The result, we've got less debate about data and more action based on the shared truth. Now, if you're looking to sound smart at your next social or business gathering, here's something you can just casually throw out there at the drinks table. The problem with most dashboards isn't the data, it's the politics. What this speaks to is that as long as teams define success differently, they all have their own motivations to showcase their success, despite maybe not contributing much to the longer term picture of the company and the business. This means their stack will be kept pulling apart. People will optimize their own departments, their own KPIs, but without alignment, you'll not grow as a business fully. So what's the takeaway here? Having dashboards doesn't mean you have insights, right? To really make data work, We have to make sure that our definitions are aligned before we align metrics, before we show people different pictures of our customer journey. We have to make sure that tools talk to each other, not just your teams. So we have to share that data. That's a single source of truth. But perhaps more importantly, ask yourself, are you explaining numbers and are we understanding customers? Are we seeing numbers go up, or are we also seeing what that means for our customer, for our value, and the value we bring to them? HighJam helps you bridge that gap, not by replacing your stack of dashboards, but by pulling it into a single behavior-driven narrative to show you moments and actions that actually drive results and value. Thanks for listening. And if you've ever sat in a meeting where two dashboards said two different things, I feel your pain. Send in your story or your buzzword to break down in a future episode. I'll see you then.